This image generator here is mind-blowing, but the most crazy part is that we can generate such realistic images directly on our computer. We can just download the open source model online, we make a very simple installation, and then we can start generating images. Hi, I'm Sergio, and in this video we're going to see how to install the image generator, how to configure the image generator so that we know how to set the proper parameters to get the most quality out of the image and the most realistic images. We will also see different prompts, how to write a good prompt and how not to write a prompt, so that you can get realistic images and also you can understand how to play with it to make the changes that you want to change. So if you are writing prompt and the images that you get are not as you would like, in this video, you will also understand how to practice with that. Let's first start with the installation process. All the links that I'm going to click right now will be down below in the description or the blog post that I'm going to use, where I'll put more detailed instructions for this one, so that you can follow along very easily and click everything that I'm downloading right now. This is the GitHub page where we're downloading the project from Ilias VL. We click this one, we click here to download one-click page CUDA 12.1 plus PyTorch 2.31, and you save this one. I have the file already saved. It's 1.7 gigabytes, so it might take a while it's downloaded. Once we have the file downloaded, it's a package that we have to extract. You can see it right here, Web UI Forge. And you have to click open this one and put them wherever you want on the computer. So we click and open this one. If you click and you cannot open this one, is because the file format is .7z. This means that you need some software to extract this. I'm using WinRAR. It's a free software that you can download from winrar.com. So you can download and install WinRAR so that we can open this with WinRAR. So if you can't open this, just now click, after you have WinRAR, you click with the right button of the mouse and you see WinRAR here or open with, and then you can choose that. And then we are going to open this one. And once you have this open, you can extract this on your desktop. I mean, you can put it wherever you want, but I put it in the desktop for simplicity. And now the installation process is extra simple. What we have to do is only to run one of these files, which is update. So this one is going to open a terminal. In my case, it's already up to date because I have already installed this one. And then you need just to click run. This might take a while depending on the specs of your machine. While it is running, you will see the specs of your machine right here. So what device you have. I have the graphic card RTX 4090 and other specs right here. And while it is running, then you will see opening a window. Now let me move it here. So it will open on the browser automatically. If not, you can just type 127.0.0.1 and this port 7860. So this is the user interface that we're going to use to generate all the images, and we will see what parameters we have to change here, what prompt we have to put to get the best quality images possible. Now what we have is only the web interface where we can run the image generator, but we don't have yet any image generator model. To explain what we can access to, this company, Black Forest Lab, released 3 different models: the FLUX.1, FLUX.dev, and FLUX Pro. FLUX Pro is only accessible through the API, and it's the best model, the most accurate and most realistic. Then we have FLUX.dev, which is the closest to the Pro version, which has the great advantage, which is open source, so that we can download and play around with that for free on our machine. Also, if we cannot use this commercially. So if you plan to use Flux commercially, you have to go with the Pro model. And then we have also FLUX.1, which is the fastest one, but also the least precise, and it gives you the image much closer to cartoons and they don't look so real. So they are both great, but they can be used for different purposes. FLUX.dev, it's a great balance, and with this we can create like extra high details image which are very realistic, and we are going to use this one specifically today. So what we can do is, again, I'm going to put the link below in the description or the blog post. We need to download the model. There are of the Flux Dev, there are two different versions that we can download. One is lighter and the other one is heavier but more precise. So the one that I use is the more precise. I have a good graphic card, the NVIDIA RTX 4090 with 24 gigabytes of memory. If you have lower memory graphic card, then you can go with the smaller version. How do you know how much memory do you have on your graphic card? On Windows here, you can go on the bottom bar, you click with the right button of the mouse, you open Task Manager. Task Manager has multiple things that shows you, and among these we have performance, and on performance it shows you the different specs of the computer. At the bottom part of performance you will see GPU. If you have a laptop, it's possible that you have two graphic cards. You have an Intel graphic card, and then you might have an NVIDIA graphic card. What we have to check is the NVIDIA graphic card. So you go and click GPU 0 or GPU 1. Look, is that NVIDIA? If it's NVIDIA, it's good to go. If it's not NVIDIA, then unfortunately you cannot use it. Once you open this, check the dedicated GPU memory, this parameter here. Ideally, you want at least 12 gigabytes or more of memory, because the lower the memory, the much slower it will be. So make sure that you have at least 12 gigabytes. So all the new graphic card RTX 30 something, 40 something, they have at least 8 gigabytes, sometimes 6, but at least 8, which is okay. So make sure that you have that. If you don't have graphic card, you unfortunately cannot run this one. Make sure also you have a good amount of RAM memory. I have like here 32 gigabytes of memory, which is already, it's okay, but if it was a bit more like 64, wouldn't hurt anyone. So if you have 16, you might need to do extra steps to allow cache memory. Now we don't want to enter into that. So just keep in account that if you lack of memory or on both RAM and GPU, you might get some problems. Once we know all of this, let's download the model. I'm going to click right here, and you see it says the file is too big to display, and then we click download it. It's 17.2 gigabytes. We click save, and now we need to wait for the download. If you have a slow connection, it might take a while. And now we don't have to wait for the download because I have it already, but I'm going to show you where you have to put this one. So when you downloaded the file, we have the system, run, environment update, and web UI. Inside web UI, let's open this. We have web UI, then we have models, and then we have stable diffusion. Once the file FLUX.dev FP8 safe tensor is downloaded, you take the file and you put it inside this folder. As simple as that. Once you have done that, we can go back to our web user interface, and right here you should be able to select the model. If you don't see anything, click right here so you can refresh the page. If you still don't see anything, close everything, close the terminal, and click on run again so that you make sure that everything is loaded properly into memory. And now let's get to the fun part. We're going to play around with our model. If computer vision is more than a hobby for you and you want to build projects, you want to train a custom model, you want to launch your computer vision startups and you don't know how to do, you are struggling, you want sources that can help you do this in the fastest and most efficient way, I'm launching a community, pysource.com/community. For the launch, I'm going to make a huge discount that you can get advantage if you join in the list below, and I can't wait to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Let's now generate a random image, and then we're going to check all the specs that we can play around with to make this as realistic as possible. So what I will do, I will say any random prompt, a donkey playing Minecraft on the laptop. We click generate. The first time that you run this, it might take a while because it has to load the model into memory. And make sure that you don't get any error. So if there is any error, you will see it right here in this section. Also, you will see what's happening on the prompt. So the prompt that you use to run the software, if there is any error, you will see right here. Now for me, it's already loaded and it's generating the image. Now, depending on the size of the graphic card, it might take much longer. And so I tested this with a graphic card with 12 gigabytes of memory, and it was taking for me like 1 minute, 1 minute 20, while with this card, I guess around 20 seconds with 24 gigabytes of RAM. So if it's taking a lot, you need to understand that probably there is nothing you can do about that, except some settings that we can change. So this is now an image, very unrealistic, of course, of a donkey playing a computer. So this is a cartoon image. Let's now understand a few parameters that we can change to make this as realistic as possible. There are, first, I like to check this still CFG scale. This is a value that the more you increase it, the more the model, the generation tries to stick to the prompt, and the more the image looks less realistic and it looks more AI generated. While if you put a lower value, it's less stick to the prompt, but it's going to be very random sometimes, and it's going to be very creepy sometimes. So we need to be careful, play around with these values, and I will show you what's my ideal value. Now I'm going to start with this because it's one of the most important values that we can have right here. I will put a value of 1 right now on this still CFG scale, and we generate again the image. And that's what I was saying. I don't even want to put this one very big. The image is very creepy. And if you put, for example, people, when you generate people with such values 1, then it's very disturbing, the images that are generated. So 1 is a very slow value. I'm using this only to show you what's the difference. 1, you get this. 3.5 is the one cartoon effect that we got before. In this case, let's put a very high value like this one, like let's say 8. And now we have the image generated, which is cartoon even more, with more detail than the one we had before. So we went from value of 1 to 3.5 to 8. What's the ideal value that I found for this one working for me? It's from 2 to 3. So I like to play around with 2, and that's what it gives the best result. Still, we might get a very cartoony images in this case, because then we also need to work on the prompt and some other details. And that's what we're going to see. So like learning to make a good prompt is one of the best skills that you can have on image generation, and it's all a work in progress. It's an evolution that we are going through. And you will learn now step by step how to improve the prompts, how to make the best realistic images with the right prompt. Now we get somehow very strange image, but still more realistic than the previous one. Keep in mind that if you keep regenerating with these values, like if you have the same width, the same like this still CFG scale, still you keep getting a different image. Why? Because there is always a random generation at the beginning, so the random generation change what's the result in the image. If you want to keep the random generation not random anymore, if you want to control that, you can give a seed. The seed is a number which sets an initial value to generate random numbers so that you can keep that the same. So we can put anything we want. Let's say we'll put this 7452, so that if I generate this multiple times, we will see the exact same image. So I'm going to generate now one image. Now it's generating. With this prompt, a donkey play Minecraft on the laptop, with this seed and with these image size values, I'm getting this one. If now I keep the same seed and I click generate again, as you see, we get the exact same result. There are two other things that we want to check when generating images. One is the width and the height. Of course, now we have a vertical image, and depending on what you want, you can change the size of the image. For example, you might want a full HD image to fit widescreen the monitor. In that case, we can choose exactly the pixel that we want to use. We put, for example, 1920 by 1080, which is the full HD size. So if you check full HD size, you get this is the size. Then we have HD size, which is a bit smaller. And if you put a smaller image size, so this is the width, this is the height, smaller image size, it will be faster to process the image. So in this case, let's now keep this full HD 1920 by 1080, and so I click generate and we will see a different image. In this case, you will see it will take much longer because now the size of the image is much bigger than before, especially if you have a slow computer, a slow GPU with low memory, then you will see probably a big increase in the processing time, as I'm seeing right now. And now we want also to focus on the prompt because that's why you came here for, and that's the most important part of generating a high quality image. How should the prompt be? Let's start how a prompt shouldn't be. A very bad, terrible prompt is this one that I gave at the beginning, a donkey playing Minecraft on the laptop. Because on the prompt, there are many things that we want to put. The more details we put, the better. So it's easier to focus on a person right now. So we want to give as many details as possible, not only about physical characteristics, but also about what the person is doing. So the action it's doing, the climate, the emotions, the colors, the environment around, and so on. So the more we can give, the better. So I can say, for example, handsome man speaking in front of a camera, wearing a red shirt. It's sunny. The room is in a room with minimal design. The room is modern. Is very nervous. There is a gray wooden desk, maybe gray, it wouldn't be the wooden desk. We can also improve this one, but now let's start with this. Let's click generate. Now we have something that's on point. The quality is not so great. As you see, there is something off. What can we do? Now we can play a bit around with the parameters, and then we can also improve a bit the prompt. As I said at the beginning, when you change this value, this still CFG scale, the lower you use it, the more random it can be, but it can be more realistic. The higher, the more it looks AI generated. Probably it's too low. We can try 2.5 and see if we get any improvement on this. And then we can also try improving sampling steps and see what difference we can get for this. Now much better quality already, so I will probably change my mind about the sampling, this still CFG scale. I play around, I tested this a lot with different values. It was giving me best values with 2, but depending on the prompt, it can be pretty risky to get very strange results. And now with this 2.5, as you can see, like the image is very, very realistic. Can we improve the prompt? Absolutely. One thing that I recommend to do is to check images from stock images and try to replicate the images, because you will learn a lot how to make the prompt better. So that's something I like to do to practice, because the more you practice trying to replicate images, the better you can get good at it. And so I want now to show you this step so that you can play with that. So what I will do is this. So we're going to go either to pexels.com or pixabay.com. There are 2 websites where you can get free image stocks of any kind. What we can do is something like this. We download these images. So we just click download. For example, I download this one. Then I go on ChatGPT. You can use any text generator that you prefer that can read the image. So we pass the image to ChatGPT, and then I will say something like this. Give me a prompt that I can use to, or oh no, even better, not a prompt. Describe what's in this image. As simple as that. So we want to know how, now we are doing some reverse engineering. We're going to see how this image is described. We're going to copy the exact same prompt into the image generator, and then we can make some changes. So we see what it's used, and then we can make all the changes that we want. So the image shows a serene seaside scene with a few objects laid out on a rock. So you see how descriptive this prompt is. Ideally, when we pass this prompt to the image generator, we're going to replicate, of course, not the same, but we're going to get a similar image which gives like the same type of scenes, the same type of vibe, the same objects that are there, and so on. So let's play around with this, and let's also read the prompt. A scene with a few objects laid out on a rock, giving a cozy and relaxed vibe. In the foreground, there is a striped cloth spread out, 2 red apples, an open book, a unique design ceramic cup are placed. The cups is teal and brown, so the more details you can put, the better. And you can see that somehow we are very, very close to the image we downloaded. So from this one, now that we have a very detailed prompt and we understand what's necessary in a prompt, we can play around, we can remove objects, we can add different objects, and so on. This is the image we downloaded, and this is the image we generated. Now we generated in a different resolution because we downloaded a vertical image. We generated this one, and this is already an idea, an idea of a possible startup. But if someone has a vertical image and vertical stock image and they want to make something similar in horizontal, then you could download, you could get the caption from the vertical image and then replicate the horizontal image. And I imagine in this field a lot of startups coming out in 2024, 2025 and so on about image generation. It's a field which is going to grow so fast and so exponential that probably we don't have yet an idea. We will see this only in a few years. So it's good now to play around with all of this. We have this prompt. What can we do? We can remove what we don't want. We can try to, okay, here there is a book. Let's try to remove the book and let's put something else. Instead of the book, let's say a laptop. Instead of the 2 red apples, 2 bananas. You need to know that when you make small changes, normally we get totally new generated images. So you can't expect the same image as now with only banana instead of apples and book, but it will be a new generated image. We can't control, at least now, what specifically things we want to change, at least for now. And that's what we get. It's pretty impressive result, I would say. And we can do this over and over again. Let's now try some maybe more complex image. Let's see what can be more complex than this. Okay, this looks very nice. So for this, I have describe what's in this image. Of course, much longer description because the image is more complex. So let's start with a charming harbor scene. And now, this image is quite complex in comparison with the other one, so I expect to be quite far from what we have. I will say I'm pretty impressed by the result that we get. First of all, the image looks very, very realistic. There are no strange things like windows placed in a certain order or like half boats, or the image is very, very realistic, except maybe if we zoom in, some of the details might look not realistic. And at the same time, it's very similar to the one that we saw, at least the concept of the image. Of course, this is a new generated image, and we can generate such image, as many images as we want if we change the seeds. So if we are happy about the prompt that we have, but we want a different image, we can just keep generating. So we can change the seed, we can put any number, and we can keep repeating this. And now I'm doing this all manually. If you want to run this as a service, if you want to have like, you can automate this process. You can create some Python script. You can say, generate me 100 images for this. Now we're using this web interface because we want to test, to play around with this. But then when we want to build our software, we will structure things different. And we will see such things in new videos, so stay tuned if you want to learn how to make this your profession and you want to work with this, because we will cover everything that's necessary from the beginning, so from not knowing anything to build software, build a startup, launch projects that use AI generation and other things related to computer vision like object detection, segmentation, and all these kind of things. I hope that this video was useful for you, and of course this was a very small introduction and some on how to generate images and how to write prompts. If you want to know more, put questions in the comment section below so that I know what I can talk about in the next video and we can get more into some specific aspects of this. Make sure that if you like this and if you want to know more, to check all the links down below and the community if you're interested. I look forward to hearing from you. This is all for this video. See you in the next one.